everybody. Today I'd like to talk about some cards, some decks, and strategies. First of all, I'd like to start with the sniper, the no EDS sniper. Okay, before talking about each individual cards, the main purpose of this build is that so that you can kill the specials as quickly as you can while also not losing your focus around you. You could also kill the Ridden as quickly as you can. Okay, so for the main gun, I'll use Barrett, and for the secondary, I will be using Tech 9. Okay, let's start it. Hyper focus and killer instincts. As sniper, I always tend to go with the weak spot damages, so that I can deal with the zombies as quickly as I can. So that these two can very enhance the ability to just kill the specials very quickly. And I'll have Mag Coupler. It's a classic for the no aim downside builds. Hipfire builds, let's say. Down in front, so that I don't down one I don't down the team player with a one shot really. But jokes aside, I have that card on any imaginable build because it's really convenient to just shoot freely without thinking about the consequences of dealing a friendly fire damage to the teammate. I'm not sure about the Nightmare, but on No Hope it's really crucial to have this card because you can just down your friend very quickly and you can deal a lot of damage even if you don't down them. Okay, for the ammo for all, so the thing with the ammo for all is that when we stack it 4 times, it would give you 14% team damage and 40% team ammo capacity. So the 14% team damage should function like Glass Cannon do, with no debuffs, if I understood the description of the card correctly. Let's check it out. Okay, so it says 25% damage, and this one says team damage. So this should definitely function like Glass Cannon do, which is very good to stack it 4 times to compensate from Glass Cannon if you don't have it. And I personally don't prefer Glass Cannon for the debuff it gives, and you can just be very much fine without Glass Cannon too, by stacking the mentioned cards and also like having the Shredder. Well, I won't be having Shredder because I could just stumble the specials as quickly as I can, but with the shotguns and the LMG builds, I can just have Shredder and I can easily have the enhanced damage that I can just compensate from the Glass Cannon by not having it. Okay, so large caliber rounds is definitely a good addition for the DPS build so that you can clear the horde as quickly as you can with less effort. Okay, so I have 3 accuracy cards to make my accuracy 100% precise. Quick kill, front side focus, optics enthusiast. So by having these 3 cards, I'll have my accuracy 100% correct. I'll have a 100% accuracy with the snipers. Like regardless if I'm running or jumping around, I'll have 100% accuracy. You can check the dual lockjaw video in my YouTube. I've had a constant 100% accuracy with these 3 cards, regardless of which weapon I have. Very neat to have. The reason I've gone with the hipfire with the snipers is that my friend came up with this idea, and I've kind of improvised upon it. And then we were just constantly shooting the specials while also not losing our focus around us. Like we could also see the Ridden around us. We could just shoot the Ridden with the Tech 9 or the other secondary gun and could just shoot the specials with the Barrett or Phoenix. Okay, Empowered Assault, well, it's a really good card for the DPS builds. It really comes handy, regardless of what kind of build you go. Like SMG, LMG, shotgun, etc. And Scar Tissue. The thing with the Scar Tissue is that you can, like, be in a situations where you won't be able to move around when wretch can just attack you in a small and a narrow path. You can just go left and right and avoid that acid, and the exposure of that acid within seconds can deal a lot of damage, which is very troubling. For that reason, I always go with scar tissue with any build I have, regardless of what kind of build it is, be it doc, melee, SMG, like DPS, etc. But I found that it's a very debatable card. Some say it's not really essential, aside from melee builds. But what you can do, you could just try the card for yourself, and if you found it useful, you can keep it. Or if you find it not really essential, sure, be my guest and not have the card. But I personally have that card, and we consider it as a really essential card with my friend. For the last four cards, I, I believe they're optional. The reason I have ammo stash is that I can just shoot at my heart's content constantly without thinking about the ammo consequences. Because I can just shoot with the Tech 9 I have, especially if I have the Motherload attachment. I can just shoot around with 100% accuracy with the Ridden, and they can just die really quickly. And you can find yourself not getting swarmed by the Ridden Horde. Very convenient to have. And Lucky Pennies and Copper Scavenger just for the the overall your comfort, to be more comfortable with the copper amount. You can spend your copper at anything you want, like unbolting your gun, getting some razor wires for the situations where you have to defend, and the similar stuff like team upgrades, slot upgrades, anything. They come very handy in my opinion. Lucky Pennies and Copper Scavenger. I have it on my on many of my builds. Well, for the Food Scavenger, well, it's I must say, it's a really underrated card to have like among the community. I'm not seeing many people having this card, but honestly, if we stack it 2, 3, or even like 4 times, you can find many food items like scattered around the map. Let's say you found 2, 3, or 4. Like let's say you found 4 cereals quickly, like without even progressing that further through the map. You could just have 20% reload speed, just like that. That reload speed is just until the level though, but still it's something. And when you have hang, it should also give you a 1 trauma damage point. Recover 1 trauma damage with that. Comes very handy. And if you have like a doc in the build, sorry, doc in a team, and a doc that who burns extra padding, which you'll have 40% damage, trauma resistance. You can just have green beans and constantly regeneration from the green beans, because it gives like 0.1% health regeneration every second. Yeah. And the peanut butter for the oxygen corruption card can come very handy. That aside, we have peaches. Oh, it's really good one actually. Like you could just find peaches, and like you can recover from the trauma damage, just like that, like five trauma damage points and then 5 health. And if you're hang, you could just quickly recover 11 trauma damage, which is very neat to have. I remember once finding literally 3 peaches next to that area, like they were very close, and I recovered 33 trauma damage. Just like that. It's really nice card to have, in my opinion. Definitely you should consider having it. Well, that's basically it. I've tried this build on many occasions, and wow, I've had so much fun. And one optional thing would be replacing scar tissue with hazmat specialist if you like to, be a goofy and just throw the bait jars constantly to, spice things up. I've had that moment in dual lockjaw build run in the previous video. Definitely, you can check it out, and you can find lots of fun with improvising with it, especially if it's stacked for 3 or 4 times. Really good to have. Okay, so let's talk about the Pinata Hoffen build. Then again, the main purpose of this build is that you can just kill as much ridden as you can with the accessories and have the accessory spawns with it. It can save some copper. Like it can be very useful for the situations where you don't have any offensive accessory, for example, and like there could be just pipe bomb droppings, and you could just keep it in, like take it and keep it with you on the next events, so that it can just save you from the pipe bombs if you don't have it, and the razor wires from the pinata. Like it's just the possibilities are so vast. You can see what I'm saying, and you must have seen some people running with this build. A really nice one to have. The only issue would be it can become a little bit individual build. Let's say the Hoffman throws a pipe bomb and he can just say, please don't shoot, I'm just waiting for the droppings. And it can be a little bit, it can become individual when it comes to that, because it is a zombie shooting game after all, and saying people not to shoot the zombies is a little bit different. But then again, it's worth to have the spawns, especially if you have like epic, epic all of the accessories. It's really nice to have it. Pyro, the typical Hoffman cards, Hoffman Pinata cards for the Molotovs. Some people prefer having like 3 or 4 Molotovs and then just throw it to the where the ridden are coming from, to that path. And scar tissue again, as for the mentioned situations. Bomb squad for overall explosive damage from the gas cans, propane tanks, frag grenades, and such. Ammo for all, as for the previously mentioned reasons. Down in front, again, you can just throw your frag grenades next to your teammates without even thinking about the consequences of friendly fire. Then again, it's a hip fire build. I'll have quick kill for that. Scattering skills, I'll be running Belgian and TAC 14 with this build. I really like the shotgun, so I just tend to go with the shotguns instead of any other gun. So I'll just have scattering skills and Mac coupler for that. I'll have Pinata. Magician's Apprentice. It's not a bad one, but it sometimes make you feel like it's not really worth it, because you can just find yourself having not many reuse chances, and it can just really demoralize you, so to speak. You can sometimes feel, well, is it really that necessary to have it? But well, once you have that chance of the the reuse, it's really encouraging you to have it. Because once I remember, my friend had to like use the legendary medkit, the nurse purse, I believe. Yeah, he was able to use it 3 times, which was very convenient for us. Okay, ammo stash. As for the mentioned reason, I can just use my Belgian without thinking about the ammo. Surplus pouches, so that my teammates can also carry multiple offensive slots. Let's say they can just like collect the frag grenades. Like let's say one of my friends collect frag grenades, some collect pipe bombs, flashbangs, etc. They can just collect 2 of them. Instead of having the individual one, I'll just have the the team effect one. Comes very handy in dock builds and for the quick item slot as well. Foot scavenger again, lucky pennies, mag coupler, and hyper focused. That's basically it. It's mainly focused on the commons and just like clearing them as quickly as you can. Okay, let's talk about melee, which is very popular. Okay, we have our very essential cards here: Method, Brazen, Slugger. Vanguard down in front, definitely consider down in front, as I see people not having it, which really breaks my heart because you can just deal some friendly fire to the teammates. there could be instances where you'll have to like swing your melee next to us, because sometimes they are really the rhythm can be next to us, and like we're, let's say we're in a narrow path and defending in that small area, and you could be able to swing that melee weapon next to us too without thinking about the friendly fire. So definitely consider down in front. EMT back and well rested for the overall healing efficiency. Motorcycle helmet to taking less damage. Scar tissue, definitely. Spiky bits for the damage resistance while using melee. Mean drunk for the cleavage. Okay, so for the melee, I've not mentioned about the roll for this build. Okay, so main reason for this build, the main purpose, let's say, the main purpose of this build is that so that you can clear the horde as quickly as you can. I made it so that it doesn't focus on the specials that much. That's why it doesn't include heavy hitter. Some people say the heavy hitter is really essential for the melee. In my experiences with my friends, with a proper 4 team, or even 3 or 2 team, that the people you know, you wouldn't have problems with the special zombies because they can focus on the special zombies, the special rhythm, while you are focusing on the common rhythm. Now, of course, you won't be skipping special rhythms for good. You can also focus on them too sometimes when they're really close to you. That's why we have ignored the pain to assist with the um, health. The well rested will definitely assist with that too. When you're full, like when you don't have the red health, so to speak, you will be gaining temporary health with the well rested, because it says heal 2 health. That's why. Okay. Oh yeah, what I was saying. I definitely go with machete so that I can clear more zombies with less effort, because the machete has a wider hit area. Even if you like focus on the chest or the knee area of the armored cops, for example, they can easily take damage from the machete as well. For the stumble, um, so I've heard people saying a baseball bat is also useful, but then again, you can try it, either machete or baseball bat. You can try it and you can decide which one to go. But me, I prefer going without heavy hitter and choosing machete. And for the cleansing fire, well, it's previously I've had numb, where you'll have 10% damage resistance while having temporary health. But after speaking with my friend and having some conversations about the cleansing fire, I've decided to take the cleansing fire instead. Because there can be like fire zombies along the map, and while fighting with them, you can also gain damage resistance too, which I found useful, so I tried to have that card now instead of numb. I've tried it once and can vouch, really, it helped greatly. You can try to swap it and see if it was useful for you. So that's basically it. The main purpose of this build is that you can focus on the commons. Of course, you can also like attack to the specials too if they're very close to you, but I would recommend just dealing with the common rhythm. If you really like to focus on the specials, which I don't really recommend, if you're playing with four people or with a proper team, let's say, you can have heavy hitter and yeah, I think heavy hitter because I have all the necessary cards, and for the melee weapon you can have axe. That's basically it. Okay, let's talk about the LMG. It's also no ADS build. As you can see, also the necessary cards I have. Shredder, as I mentioned before. You can just compensate the damage, the lack of damage, like quote unquote, lack of damage from the glass cannon with Shredder. And Ammo for All is there too. Hyper focused. On your mark for the overall ammo refillment. Fill 'em full of lead, very good. ammo stash so that you can just shoot the Rin with your Tech 9 and then just deal with the specials with your LMG. Bow. Well, to tell the truth, I've done this before and it's just stayed there and I've never used it after. It's not really useful. The main reason it's not useful because it's not actually even like feasible because it doesn't have any penetration. You cannot even shoot through your teammate even if you have down in front. You can shoot through multiple zombies. So what's the point? You can shoot through like small planks, like through window. You can shoot through them. So it's not really useful to have. It's just there to, you know, as a memory, like not memory, as you know, like I've tried it before, but it just didn't work. That's it. You can try. Like it's a fun idea. You can try and see why it's not working. You can even make it work too. Honestly, like you don't have to worry about the penetration that much, but you can just check it out and decide by yourself. I found it not useful going with the bow. Okay, here comes the build I must certainly use all the time. Hang shotgun. Okay, so down in front, definitely. As you can see, I have the essential cards. Fill them full of lead because of the Belgian I have. I just shoot constantly with the Belgian, and I can stack fill them full of lead about like 12 to 16, depending on how much on your mark we have, and if I have a like a reload magazine, like if it's 20, 30, or 40. It just depends on these factors, but regardless, even if you don't have any like on your mark or magazine, a reload magazine, filling full of lead can be stacked very much. Let's say you could stack it for 12. It's not only like the fire rate and the reload speed, it also grants you um, swap speed and damage as well, which is very good to have in my opinion. And while you don't have, while I have ammo stash, I can just again shoot as much as I can. Mag coupler, shredder. Oh, shredder is definitely a must-have for the shotguns, definitely. Like if I remember correctly, the Belgian should have 16 pellets, and the TAC 14 should have 15. Yeah, it should be around that. I'm not really sure about it, but long story short, with one shot, you can just easily activate Shredder. The targets will take like 15% less, increased damage. It works like on your mark. Mark for death. Very neat to have. Empowered assault, definitely. Scar tissue, ammo stash. Then again, these three are up to you. However, I recommend keeping these three because it can definitely come handy in such situations. Sometimes, instead of like copper scavenger or lucky pennies, I see people having reload drills. Although I find myself like okay with that reload drills, as I'll just take the the cereals and I can just increase my reload speed just like that. But then again, to each their own. People have different ideas and just different opinions. I'm happy if they're happy as well. Okay, let's talk about Doc now. So the purpose of this Doc build is that it's like a pure Doc build. Now, let's not say pure Doc, but mainly focuses on like healing efficiencies instead of attacking that much. But still, you would find yourself very, very vulnerable by going 100% Doc. So I'll have to add some cards to compensate from the damage. Hyper focus, definitely, and I'll have ammo stash to not to worry about the ammo, so that I can just use my Tech 9 with some reload magazines, and I can be just good to go. Sports scavenger, needs of the many, medical professional, of course, field surgeon, EMT bag, definitely. Rousing speech for revive speed and team reducing camp. Not bad. The only thing I could say, you could maybe replace like these three cards, or even this one, Magician's Apprentice. It's debatable one because some say like it's not really effective, like it's just negligible, the amount of reuse chance you have. But then again, you can try it for yourself, and if you decide to have it, then be my guest. Go for it, definitely. You can try some different cards and see if they will be useful for you. You can definitely like discard some of the cards here. I'd say maybe Rousing Speech, Magician's Apprentice, Ammo Stash, Food Scavenger, Lucky Pennies. You can discard these and try to see if they were useful for you. Offensive Dock, then again, for the Offensive Dock, I have even more cards, let's say. Here I have Scattering Skills and Mag Coupler for the reload speed. Hypercopper, hyper, Hyperfocus, Hypercopper, that's great. Hyperfocus, as I had in the previous run, and in, like to add more for the damage, I have large caliber rounds to clear the riddance as quickly as I can. As you can see, I'll be just running the Belgian with the scattering skills. But what you can do, maybe you could just discard scattering skills and get something else if you're not going to use Belgian as your secondary with Doc. You can maybe get something else like healing efficiency, or let's say maybe even Mark for Death to help your team and yourself. Scattering skills for the Belgian. Baxo bags so that my teammates can carry more support items. But this is basically it, the offensive Doc. But to tell the truth, I'm not really fond of Doc builds. I just find myself going with the like as much damage as I can. Try to just kill the specials as quickly as I can. But regardless, I appreciate the Doc builds very much in a run. Okay, let's talk about aiming downside, like the good old aiming downside. Definitely Patient Hunter, so that you can stack it 3 times, which will give you 30% damage. Very good. Ammo for All for stacking it. Cold Brew Coffee for aim speed and reload speed and stuff such. Large caliber rounds for its eye focus. For the weak spot, Mark for that. Scar Tissue, Empowered Assault, Reload Drills. Hyper focused, Filling Full of Lead for Tech 9. Then again, Tech 9, you can just shoot for the riddance as quickly as I can. The Filling Full of Lead, I couldn't fit in my no ADS build, unfortunately. Maybe you must have noticed it. There's no Filling Full of Lead in that build, but I managed to squeeze that in the ADS build, so here we go. Ammo Stash, then again, I have these 3 cards, which I have on most occasions. I think I've talked about the builds. Well, lastly, I'd like to mention the gadgets, which I've honestly not used much because they disable quick slot and sport slot and offensive slot, which honestly it's not really worth it. But what I can say, like among all of these, maybe, but just maybe, the experimental stun gun would be good. Would be. But you can definitely do without experimental stun gun. What it does is that you can just like if there are like tall boys, especially bruisers and let's say Hag, Breaker, especially these 3. If they're really close to you, you can just stun it with this one, and then you can just shoot it with that. You could avoid taking damage by having this one. But then again, because it replaces the quick, like disables the quick slot, it's not really worth to have, honestly. You could just have razor wires instead of that, like even defibrillators. That's why. Experimental stimulants. We've tried it once, and honestly, it went well. Definitely, it went well. And it just replaces sports slot, which honestly I've not even used sports slot in like throughout the run. Like I think I've never used a support slot. I don't remember. Like besides going dark build, maybe some like pain pills here and there, but regardless, I'm doing very much fine without them. Oh yeah, we've tried it once, this one, and wow, the damage we've been dealing was remarkable. You can experiment this one, definitely. But then again, I would rather not like have it. But if I found it along the run, I could definitely buy it. Crippling frequency. Hmm. I've read about it, and some people say by like stacking it, you can find yourself not even taking any damage with by the rhythm. But honestly, would it really worth it? No. Offensive slot would just be much more necessary, in my opinion. Definitely, you can try it out and check by yourself. But honestly, it doesn't worth it. Okay, expired T5. So, some people say that it was really overpowered the first times it was released, like it was introduced to the game. Let's say I wasn't there back then because I took a long break. I wasn't there while the expired T5, like the gadgets, have been introduced to the game, and it people say that it was really overpowered, but now it was downgraded, not really overpowered anymore. So you can just not take it maybe, but you can try it for yourself. But honestly, if you're not like Tala, I wouldn't really recommend because the bleed damage would also enhance the expired T5 as well. The Sonic Disruptor, this one my friend used it on a run. We've tested once, and well, the stumble was negligible. Like it wasn't like stumbling here and there, like stumbling everyone. It wasn't really affecting like that. Sure, it maybe stumbled Tallboy once or twice, but it wasn't really necessary, and it didn't really work well with the breaker either. Like we didn't have any armor drops. It was really weird. Maybe the run was bugged, but I didn't I didn't see any armor droppings. Very weird to have. You can try it for yourself, but I definitely wouldn't add it. Okay, ultrasonic wound therapy. This one I've seen people using it as doc. Not bad, but not good either. Because what you can do, just burn a what's that? Extra padding and be doc. You could just have amped up in your deck, and you could just easily recover from the red damaged health, so to speak, with amped up 20 HP instead of this one. Sure, you can use this one anytime with 30 seconds of cooldown, if I remember correctly. Um, yeah, you could just this one could just easily be replaced with amped up instead of having this card. Drone spotter. Okay, I've not used this card, but people say it's not really worth to have. Like I'm not even mentioning it just takes your quick slot and not really effective. Definitely just don't even think about it. Ether bomb, huh? I've tried it before. I found this card along the run and tested it. Oh well, it's just what a waste. Like I could have gotten something else instead of my 500 copper. Literally, it didn't do much because the radius that circle which attracts the rhythm to you was so small that it just negligible. Didn't do anything. And like the 50% move speed is just atrocious. Like why would you give that? It's just not really feasible. And we have this one, which is also just easily could be replaced with a Magician's Apprentice. So that's basically it. And I'd like to talk about some couple of cards also, which I've not talked, I believe. I've talked about Mark for Death. It's good if one of the teammates have it, but I found it not being very essential. But if someone else has it in my team, it's a why not card, definitely. Confident Killer, I'm okay without it, but if you're if you really like it, definitely be my guest and check this one. And Empowered Assault, definitely. Like stacking it 4 times, you can just stumbling around here and there. Very feasible to have and useful for the team overall. And as for the copper cards, I always go with Lucky Pennies. Some people prefer Money Grubbers, but I just prefer Lucky Pennies all the time because the way it works, it's very like broken, so to speak. Because I sometimes find myself having like 150 with only 2 lucky pennies. It's really hard to like understand how that mechanic works. So like stacking it 4 times would be just a way. And like instead of having like all of the copper cards here, I just recommend only taking lucky pennies and copper scavenger. The only thing noteworthy would be this one, compound interest. I remember once like finding this card along the run and all of us took it. So we had like 20% total copper in each safe room. So I'm not good at math, but you can do the math. If you just go to the like safe room, the next level with like let's say 3,000 copper, you could just have a lot of copper with that. So that's basically it. Thank you for watching, but before ending the video, I'd like to talk about something. At the end of the day, there are no absolute rights and wrongs, and this includes Back 4 Blood as well. The cards I've mentioned have been tested on many occasions and perform very well. However, that doesn't mean it's the perfect deck. Some cards could be discarded and some cards could be added instead. Testing the cards will definitely assist you with deciding if a card is worth to add or not, definitely. I always recommend people to try cards by themselves. If they come to the conclusion of the card being useful while playing, then they can keep it. However, if they haven't found it useful, then they could discard it and add something else that they would feel comfortable with. Understanding the capabilities of the card is the key of building a proper and an efficient deck. Thank you for watching.